Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to Breaking Bricks. I'm your host, Neil. You know, this week we're going to do something a little different. Coleman asked me, how do I store my bricks? You know, that in its own right can be a very difficult question to answer, you know, because for everybody it's different. You know, for me, I know what works for me. And it really starts with two contributing factors. The first one's going to be, what kind of space do you have to work with? You know, for me, I only have one room, and so I need to keep my collection as well as my storage capacity all confined within one room here. So the best way to describe that is, you know, you notice the green wall here. Most of the time my bar is sitting right here, and I keep parts within the bar. Now remember, this works for me. It might not necessarily work for you, but this is the space that I have and the money that I have to work with, which is the other factor. How much do you have to spend for containers and storage and everything else within that space? So when I first started building and I started kind of sorting and getting parts together, you know, these little tackle bins always worked out pretty well. I'm just going to bring this up to the camera here to show you. And these are cones pretty much. It's just an example of a bunch of the smaller pieces here. Color organized, you know, depending on whether I have a lot or not. Now, parts for me within my sorting process can change dramatically depending on what the part is. But as we go through the room, I'm just going to go ahead and show you. Hopefully I don't confuse you too bad. Like I said, this is what works for me. Now, some container bins might be a little empty because those parts are within the Sith Temple build. So let's get to it. All right, my friends, so we're starting right here at the bar. Basically what this consists of is storage, very much storage. So like the whole bottom shelf here, from here all the way over, is just containers full of instruction, direction, documents, all but this one. Simply because it's time to start a new container. Alright, so what I've got here going on is, like I said, tackle boxes. You can find these in your fishing departments at Walmart or whatever department store that you shop at, Target, whatever it might be. You can also find them in your hardware department, depending on the type, how much you have to spend, and they go from a couple dollars and they can get pretty pricey as well, depending on the size and structure of the container itself. Now I have several of these. You know, over time I've kind of been switching, so my part storage and the way I keep things has been kind of changing over the last 6 months. On top of that, I've been wanting to label them so it make it easier to find things. So we're going to head over to the next section here, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, I guess, in a way. As we go through, you'll figure it out. So here we go. Alright, my friends, so what I've got kind of going on here, and please forgive my dust. You know, I don't always get a chance to clean these shelves. I'd spend my entire time de-dusting stuff, and by the time I made my way around the room, I'd have to come back to it. But, you know, we all buy this stuff at garage sales when we see it. We get it dirt cheap, and it's always got some kind of other kind of block mixed in with your Lego. I do like a majority of my blocks to be Lego. So the majority of, say, hey, Mega Block or whatever that might be, there's those first 3 containers right here. I just kind of get that out of the way. Some blocks I actually use in my build because I like the way that they're shaped. Now, these containers right here hold just these 16 by 16 plates. One holds nothing but dark gray, the other one holds everything else. It really comes down to the quantity. That's why I've got it separated like that. And then here I've got, like, I do believe this container is just like odds and end pieces that I don't like to use, that I think are silly, kind of don't fit the theme of things. And then a couple of build container boxes as well. These are sets that I could take apart if I need the pieces to, but right now I just don't have the room. I want them out, so that's why they're there. So let's kind of crawl over here, and I'm going to kind of tilt the camera a little bit, just kind of get an idea of the feel here. All right, so this is another section that I use. All right, so these are acro bends here. And you know, I got them free. I used to work in a tech company that was replacing them. So these are a little beat up and old. And that's another reason why you're starting to see these clear ones start to pop up. Because what I'm doing is replacing these crappy, dirty ones, old, and replacing them with the see-through ones. And as you can see, I'm starting to actually, so the block comes off. It's not permanent. And I super glued a 1x2 flat to it to attach the brick to. So no matter what, I know what's in here. If I decide to change the brick in the container, I can do so and still label it. It's not permanent. All right, so you can see how I'm doing this. All right, much like the fish containers or the tackle box containers, you know, those are kind of sorted by pieces. Depending on what the piece is, you might find that particular piece in that particular slide, but it might be in multiple colors. For example, anything that's window and door related is in this bucket. Now this one is color Pacific. These are the black flats. And anything that's 1x2 by whatever, or 2 by whatever, goes into here. Versus say this one, these are all whites, 1 by whatever it might be. I still have to sort through my containers to find the particular pieces that I'm looking for, but at least I know exactly where to look for what I'm looking for, which gives me the advantage. And like this one is just full of barnacle parts that I still need to sort through. But all right, so we're going to continue on in here. Eventually we're going to hit the brick vault. All right, so what we got going on over here? All right, so this is where it starts to get a little bit more part oriented. So this bookshelf holds quite a bit of brick. There's no doubt about it. But like I was saying earlier, like a certain container there, I might have a lot of that particular type of piece, but all the colors are in here. And this is those little, bring it close to the camera here. So that's what these are. But they're all mixed together of different sizes, but they're all the same part. If I was to separate it, I would need another 4 containers, which requires more space. Now, here's one that I don't have a whole particular lot of, but this is anything that's flat in a dark red, including plates. All right, so as you can see, so like this is a dark red plate here, but I also have it with my 1x2s, 1x3s, 1x6s, 1x4s. You get the point. So, but at least, once again, if I'm looking for a red piece, I know exactly where to find it, and so on. And I'll take an up close. Let's just go ahead and demount this camera here, and let's take an up close view of exactly what I'm talking about here. All right, so as you can see here, these ones are all the same part, but in different colors, like I said before. Where this one is all same color, but different sizes, but all flats. And this one is green. You kind of get the gist of it. And it just kind of keeps going on like that. It just makes it so much easier. And as you can see, I haven't gotten them all labeled yet. I'm still working on that. It is progress. And as you can see, now the more bricks I have, like these browns, this drawer is usually pretty full with these things. Black flats. Another example, you got your 1x2 slopes there. All different colors, but all in one container. All in one container. And it just keeps going on like that. All right, my friends. Now this is what I like to refer to as the brick vault. It really isn't a vault, but hey, if you ain't got an imagination, then I don't know what to tell you, man. But I like to refer to it as a brick vault because this is where I keep a lot of bricks. In fact, quite a bit of bricks in here. If you notice, when we get into here, I'm going to switch to a different camera to make it easier in a tight angle. I've got more things labeled in here than I do out here. Quantities are a lot less. That's why they're in smaller containers. But then, you know, you just got to see it for yourself. So let's go into it. Got the other camera. All right, we're just going to start at the bottom. Now, these are the same type of containers, the Acrobens. And I just started replacing some of them with the clear ones. It really comes down to money. I also use my cups. Now, I kind of missed the fact that Lego kind of took away the cup thing for the pad wall, and they introduced those silly little boxes, which honestly I don't think hold nowhere near as much as the cups used to. But as you can see, color organized, part organized, or just same as the containers. See? Ultimately, this allows me to find what I am looking for. Alright, so now these ones, a little bit more of a pricier container, but these hold all my technicals. And the same with some of that. My spare cups, so as I add more parts. And then of course we've got tons of Acrobens. And for an example, like I was saying, all the same part, all the different colors, but all the same part. The reason why I sort like this is because of space. I only have so much space that I can keep. I separate when I can, when it's necessary. Otherwise, yeah, back out the closet we go. All right, so let's continue on. This is the last little section of my bench storage. As we go through this, you can see the containers are big, small, all different types of sizes. I'm just now converting to a clear kind of plastic so I can see into it a little bit better. I just think ultimately it'll look better. Eventually I want to replace all the furniture in here too, but you know, one thing at a time. So this stuff gets expensive. All right, so this is the last of it right here. I refer to this as the Battle Droid Mandalorian wall because that's pretty much what's on it. But as you can see, just like before, the Acrobens, I still need to label quite a few of them. I haven't gotten them all done. I've been trying to wash them and running through the dishwasher just to clean them in. But over here, this is a much bigger storage type of container. Now, as you can see, this is dedicated to black brick. I have 5 pieces of black brick in that drawer. Why do I only have 5 pieces of black brick in this drawer? Because this drawer is full to the top. I need to switch it to a giant tote. It's really, I keep all my black brick of all sizes. Like this is a 2 by 10, this is a 2 by 4. You get the point. All of it goes in here. I don't separate it because it's all black brick. I'm just going to use it at one point or another. As long as you know, you stagger your breaks. So sometimes it can be complicated. But anyway, and the same goes for this drawer. There's a lot more dark gray brick in here, but this thing is almost full. And the same with the light gray in the next drawer above it. So storage comes down to price, space, and really what works for you. So, if you like this kind of content, go ahead and hit that like button. It lets me know I did a good job, and it suggests this kind of content to anybody out there that might be into it. Of course, you know, you want to talk Lego, Star Wars, or have a good question, would like me to make a video of any type at all, go ahead and put that in the comments down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And of course, we cannot grow here as a family unless you hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, I'll see you here next week on Breaking Bricks.